What's up, y'all? Talon here. Today I'm back with another series of battles featuring teams in the Perspective Regulation F metagame. At the time of recording this, we don't have the rules yet, but if it has come out after this video has come out, sorry for that, I'll update that in the description below. See if anything on this team is not legal, but I think since most of these are returning Pokemon, actually all of them are, we shouldn't have an issue with that. But what is new is the use of the Stellar Tera type on this Enamarus for a cool combination with the Contrary. I'll move into that into a bit. But this team was created by a Japanese player. I'll have their Twitter linked in the description below. I believe they're a former Worlds competitor, have gotten into, I think, day 2 at the last World Championship. So really strong competitor, really creative team there. Check them out. They also have a blog post for this team, basically just chronicling what was good about it, what was a little weak in the early format. So please check that out. If you want to use the team for yourself, I have the rental code in the top right of the video and the Poke Paste with the extracted EV spreads. If you appreciate the time it takes to make these videos, please subscribe to the channel. With all that being said, let's get into a breakdown of this team. So starting off, we have Enamarus, which is kind of the forgotten of the Forces of Nature trio, I guess they're called, I think. But yeah, Enamarus, the newest one introduced after the original 3, Thundurus, Tornadus, and Landorus. Enamarus, the stat spread has often been kind of mediocre. You're really just forced to go for a Contrary superpower set, sometimes paired with Thundurus for some basically Eerie Impulse, Scary Face boost, things of that nature, but it's always been a little bit gimmicky because your better attacking stat is generally going to be the special attack, but you were boosting up with superpower generally if you wanted to be self-sufficient, and if you didn't, if you wanted to basically commit a little harder to the setup, you needed something like Thundurus, which already wasn't a super meta-relevant Pokemon, so Enamarus kind of fell to the wayside over time. What Enamarus gets as a new tool in this metagame is the Stellar Tera type, and more specifically, Stellar Tera Blast. So if you weren't aware, the Stellar type gives you a boost to one of every type of attack in your moveset. So if you have 2 fairy moves, you can use 1 fairy move, get the stab boost, basically get a 100% boost instead of a 50% boost for that one attack, and then it will return to 50% on either of the 2 fairy attacks afterwards. Coverage moves that are not stab moves, I believe, get a 1.2 times boost. I could be mistaken on that. But yeah, Tera Blast. The Stellar Tera Blast also gets a 1.2 times boost, but Stellar Tera Blast has a base power of 100, so it's also super effective against Tera type. So just a generally strong attacking move if you've gone for the Tera, but more importantly, it drops the attack and special attack, so it does come at a drawback, except for if you are an Enamarus or honestly like a superior, anything with Contrary, you will actually convert those drops into boosts, so you are actually becoming even more and more strong as you go for Tera Blast. You are very much incentivized to do that. I think that pairs well with Enamarus, being able to boost yourself up with a Tera Blast initially and then go for a boosted up Dazzling Gleam at +1, and then also the boost from the Tera essentially being a 100 times boost to the stab, then another additional 50% means you're hitting very, very hard, especially with the Life Orb, and I think that's a pretty cool combination. I'm excited to try it out today. Sneasler is very interesting on this team. It's Unburden Focus Sash, so if you get the Focus Sash broken, you will get that Unburden boost, but interestingly, we don't see the Psychic Seed or Grassy Seed we usually see on Sneasler Unburden strategies. Instead, we are kind of not even going for the super offensive one, typically, that we have like Rock Slide, Swords Dance, Dire Claw, Close Combat. We have Close Combat, Dire Claw, of course, really strong stab options, Tera Fighting just for that offensive prowess, and then Fake Out. And the last move, Fake Out obviously just very good for allowing yourself to get a Tera Blast, free Tera Blast up with the Enamarus, but Upper Hand's really interesting, so it means that you're in the face of other priority, for example, Thunderclap, I think that's a pretty relevant one. You can just go for Upper Hand and both do damage and also stuff that offensive option, which can be a really cool surprise in a best of 1 setting. Thundurus is a basically setup bot for the Enamarus. It also can slow down opponents with Scary Impulse or Scary Face and Eerie Impulse, lowering the speed and special attack of them. But if you target them into your own Enamarus, you are able to get the speed boost from Scary Face, a +2, essentially a tailwind for the Enamarus. And Eerie Impulse boosting you up to +2 means you can just immediately forego Tera Blast and go right for the +2, and then the additional Tera boost on the Dazzling Gleam and do insane damage right off the bat. Thundurus is also pretty strong against the Urshifu Torn combinations, while Bolt Storm gets pretty close to a knockout on both, and that's a pretty cool option there. Electric Tera type is a cool offensive Tera type as well as defensive. Most of the things, because of the flying type, you actually get rid of the only weakness to electric types, ground type, so You are trading in for that weakness, but ground type damage isn't that common in this metagame, so I think that's a fair enough trade. You also gain a resistance to electric type moves. You lose the weakness to ice, rock, etc. So that's a pretty good defensive Tera, even though you're not going to be resisting anything that would normally be neutral into you, like strong neutral hits in the metagame, like water, fire, etc. You do, it's just a generally strong defensive and offensive Tera on the Torn. Scizor is a Technician, Clear Amulet, Bullet Punch set. You're not getting boosts on U-turn, but with it on Hard Press, it's pretty interesting. So Hard Press varies from 100 to 1 base power based on the remaining HP of your opponent. So at full HP, you can hit Hard Press and do a strong 100 base power move. And usually that's going to do a fair amount of damage, push them down into either Bullet Punch range or another Hard Press range. And because like starting at 60 HP or 60% HP, you are getting the Technician boost on that. So that's a pretty cool combination there. Taking away one of the main drawbacks of the move, you can go for Hard Press. If you don't do that much damage and put them into the 60 just barely, you're able to go for a 90 base power, just barely weaker than at full HP, and then clean up with Bullet Punch after that. Clear Amulet just makes a lot of sense because we're going to be seeing a lot of Incineroar, and they're going to want to try and pivot in on you if you bring the Scizor, so having the option to U-turn out of that aggressively, do a big chunk of damage, and then clean it up for one of the Pokemon on the back to knock it out later is definitely appreciated. Terra Dragon here just resists basically the fire type really well as being a strong defensive type against things like Urshifu, resisting that water type damage, as well as grass types, after you've gone for Terra, because water Terra would be obviously good against both of those previous mentioned types, but again, there is like the presence of Rillaboom in the metagame. You don't really want to be too weak to water while protecting yourself from those other types if you can avoid it, so Dragon type makes a lot of sense. This Ogerpon's really interesting. It's a Follow Me Swords Dance set, no spiky shield, so Follow Me giving Enamarus the opportunity to go for the boosting Stellar Tera Blast. That's a cool option. And then after you've gone for Thunder, if you want to go for this approach, you can go for Fake Out with Sneasler or Thunder Waves with the Thundurus to give you turns to go for Swords Dance with the Ogerpon and then basically sweep opposing Pokemon, as you were able to do in Regulation E with Hornleech and Ivy Cudgel. Just really strong coverage options on this set overall, and basically opting for utility over general strength on the Spiky Shield move slot. Last Pokemon on the team is just a really strong Pokemon in general, the Arcanine with the Choice Band. This is a Tera Grass one that's pretty interesting, so you can go for Tera Grass, Tera Blast, knock out things like Urshifu right off the bat, and I guess other Ogerpon after they've gone for a Tera Water. But that will do it for a breakdown of the team. If you want to check out Kutaro's Twitter as well as their blog post outlining this team in the description below, please check that out. I also have the Pokepaste with the EV spreads. If you enjoy the videos as a resource, please subscribe to the channel. With all that being said, let's get into the battles now. Whoa, Mono Fire for my opponent. Interesting. Earth Power on the Enamarus is definitely going to be pretty useful for that, but I think Arcanine is going to be a fairly safe lead for me. Just the immediate pressure from Rock Slide is incredible. We almost forced a Tera, although they do have Intimidate on two of their Pokemon potentially. That is worth watching out for. I kind of like actually Enamarus. Well, oh, that could be interesting. Is there Tera? If they Intimidate me, it would boost my attack. I wonder if I'll be... Okay, no. Thankfully, if I get a contrary boost to the attack, my special attack still will be the higher of the two. I guess it doesn't matter that much. But yeah, I think I'm going to go contrary plus the Arcanine. Might not commit to a Stellar Tera right off the bat, but it could still be useful. I think Sneasler is pretty good actually against the Arcanine and the Incineroar, and then Scizor would be a little suspect. I think I'll go Ogerpon just because if I commit to a Tera, even in Sun, I'll still be doing pretty considerable damage, especially if I get a Swords Dance up. And yeah, that should be good. Thundurus. Ooh woo. The Thundurus is, I think it's a physically defensive one, and a lot of their items or a lot of their offense seems to be tailored toward the special. But yeah, there is Torkoal, Magmar. Rock Slide's going to fare pretty well against that, I think. I do kind of like just, I feel like Stellar Tera Blast is reasonably good here. Like Rock Slide for sure is coming out, but I think Stellar Tera Blast is interesting. I could go for Earth Power, that'd be good. Dazzling Gleam's probably effective enough though. But I think gotta go for Tera Blast for the content, right? I do only get a 1.2 times boost on this move. So I only get, so my thought process is I lose more by going for a Tera, Stellar, Earth Power, or Dazzling Gleam because I only get that 50% boost to my stab move once. But, oh, okay, they don't attack with Torkoal, which is fine. Earth Power would have cleaned that up pretty easily, but I do think we covered them going for a defensive Tera. That still does a lot of damage. Oh yeah, I forgot. Stellar Tera is not taking the attack type. Oh, Flare Blood's interesting. Okay, we should live that. Nice. Wasn't expecting that though. But yeah, that is interesting. Oh, we're missing a Rock Slide onto Torkoal. That's a little annoying for sure. And they Earth Power my Arcanine. Alright. So that's what I was trying to prevent, but that damage was pretty impressive from the Enamarus. I kind of forgot that it isn't just a fairy type move. So that is annoying, but it is what it is. We can handle it just fine. I am slow on this guy. I kind of want to get the Sneasler in. Potentially go for a Dire Claw and then KO the other Pokemon with a Stellar Tera Blast. We do have not that much time left on the Enamarus, but I think we should be outspeeding everything on their team except for Ninetales. So I'm going to go for a Dire Claw into you and another Tera Blast. Probably could have doubled into the Magmar, but it's fine. Or doubled into one of them just in case there was a switch, but I think Dire Claw with the high incident rate of harmful status is fine enough coverage for that. I just don't really want the Protect on the Quirtle. Okay. That's interesting. So they went for Mach Punch. I did not, okay, so they break my Focus Sash. I don't think that activates on Burden. I don't think so. I'm not sure of it though. I'm not sure if it's a, no, it shouldn't, because if I return to 1 HP, or I return to 100% HP, I would still be able to activate Focus Sash, which means I'm still holding it. Oh my goodness, okay. So that's one drawback of what I just did. Oh, that's annoying. Alright, fair enough. So, Flame Body Magmar, that is one of the reasons you use it. I gotta be a little more careful when I'm playing against it to target as little physical attacks into it as possible. Magmar is a pretty cool Pokemon though, yeah. It's very bulky, and it is the Charizard plus, what is that? Arcanine, okay. So extreme speed is definitely an issue, but we do have upper hand, which does stop +3 activation moves, or +3 priority moves, so, oh, let's not let the Joy-Con drift hit run for us. So unless they are Choice Scarf, we should actually outspeed them here, and I honestly think a Tera Blast should knock out their Charizard. Oops. I'm messing up my commands here. Check status, that's right. So yeah, we're +2 special attack. I kind of think we knock out the Charizard. And they actually can't tear out of this weakness. We're hitting them with a 100 base power Tera Blast. It's not boosted by the 1.2. What are they going for? Tera Ghost would be interesting, but they are going for Tera Fairy, interestingly enough. Trying to resist the close combat. I think given they had Intimidate, I believe. I didn't actually check that. But they did go for a priority move that turn, I believe. Otherwise, Upper Hand does not activate. And they did go for Extreme Speed. We were able to flinch them. I think they were a Choice Scarf Charizard, actually. Which is sketchy. Because they could have knocked me out with Heat Wave. But I think a Tera Blast should be enough to knock them out at +2. And it is. Very nice. So yeah, totally seeing the value of Upper Hand there. If they had just gone for a Rock Slide, they would have knocked me out, but you can imagine, like, Upper Hand's such an uncommon move on any Pokemon in the metagame that you can follow why they went for that move. But now, I do have Follow Me on the board. They never set up Sun. No, they did set up Sun, actually. Okay. I feel this game is not quite over because I'm not fast. I'm not fast here. I kind of just want to Horn Leech, Protect. On the Enamarus, I think they kind of have to Extreme Speed here. Unfortunately, I can't Follow Me and guarantee I outspeed their Arcanine, so what I'm doing here is gauging the speed. If they didn't Extreme Speed into me, I'd figure out who between us on the Ogerpon and the Arcanine is faster, and if I confirmed I was faster, then I would have a 100% win with the Enamarus, but at this point, I think we can just go Horn Leech, Dazzling Gleam. They have to Extreme Speed here, yep. If we get a high roll in this Horn Leech, we'll knock them out. If not, then we'll have burned the last turn of Sun, assuming they weren't a... not Smooth Rock. Is it Smooth Rock? Yeah, it's a Damp Rock and Smooth Rock, I believe. No, Smooth Rock would be Sand. I don't know. But yeah, as long as we live this hit, yeah, they were probably Choice Banded. And we're able to clean up the Arcanine. So yeah, Upper Hand able to let us take a knockout onto the Charizard. Otherwise, they locked in the Air Slash. They would have beat my Sneasler and my Ogerpon in the back without Tera available still. So yeah. Really, really incredible work despite missing the Rock Slide turn 1. I think we do just probably... Like, if we hit that Rock Slide, I think we probably just win the game straight up. Because we hold on to the Arcanine, which beats the Charizard, and the... honestly, the Arcanine in the back, if we just switch it out and back in. So, really seeing the value of the Enamorus. Stayed on the field the whole turn, got 3 Tera Blasts up, got boosted out the wazoo, and remembered a little bit about the value of the Tera type. It is neutral into pretty much everything, so if you have a if you start getting like 1 or 2 boosts up, you do just start taking knockouts with impunity, even if an opponent goes for a Tera. So really cool there, really showing the value of Contrary Enamarus with the Tera Blast. Okay, we see a Tatsugiri without a Dondozo. Very interesting. Lots of potential priority on their team with Sableye and Talonflame, so Upper Hand could be a value. Unfortunately, can't Upper Hand the Sableye, but that's okay. Could Upper Hand a Brave Bird from Talonflame, though. So it's going to be Sableye, Talonflame, Iron Bundle, Ursaluna. Do they have Trick Room on their team? Galarian Zapdos, and Tatsugiri. I kind of like the appeal of Scizor on some level here, but it's not really, you know, that strong. But what I really like is the Thundurus and Enamarus combination. I don't actually see a lot that they can do about that offensively. Like, I think I should just be able to Tera... I can Scary Face the Iron Bundle if I Q into that, or just protect Wild Bolt Storm. I think I actually deal with them pretty well with that. I can see Arcanine being pretty good here. I don't think... late game Sneasler could be something interesting. I think I might go with that, and then... Actually, I'm a little weak to Will-O-Wisp, so I'm going to go with this, and... well, I don't want to give up Intimidate, so I think I'm going to go Sneasler and Scizor. I think it might seem a little odd not bringing the Arcanine against the Talonflame. That is one of the main damage dealers on their team if they aren't a supportive set, but I am not super worried about it. I think the Thundurus, Wild Bolt Storm should handle it well if I hit that, and if I can lower the speed with Scary Face, I can outspeed it and knock it out with Tera Blast if I've gotten any chip into it. So I can also bring in the Sneasler, go for a Fake Out, so Sableye, Iron Bundle, fair enough. Unfortunately, I cannot Tera defensively out of this, but what I could do is just go Wild Bolt Storm, Protect. I could double Protect. I think I will actually double Protect. Because I don't want to get Fake Out Freeze Dried on my Thundurus, essentially. Oh, actually, I do not even really have to mess around like that, do I? No, I do not. Okay. So I'm double protecting on the chance that they are going for a fake out strategy on their Sableye. But I was thinking, okay, I probably have to Scary Face the Iron Bundle. I actually didn't notice if they were booster energy or not, which is my bad. They're going for Ice Beam. They could be Choice Specs, actually. But what I think I can go for here is a fairly safe... I could Eerie Impulse. I think I'm just going to go Scary Face. And then go for a Tera boosted Dazzling Gleam. I think that will knock out the Sableye. I probably could have gone for a Tera Blast if I wanted to targetedly knock out the Iron Bundle, but I think just getting damage into both is valuable. With the physical Pokemon in the back, I think I need to chip down the Sableye pretty quickly so that I can knock it out with Bullet Punch, but we aren't seeing a defensive turn from them. We're going for Scary Face, which will actually boost our speed by 2 stages. We're guaranteed to outspeed the... Oh, they Quash. Why did that fail? I can't imagine that the Stellar Terra type grants an immunity to that, so I think they probably tried to Quash a Prankster Pokemon, would be my guess. And I already used a move, potentially, I don't know. But we are able to double up there. They go for Ice Beam into the Thundurus, but I think damage is probably done in that I have the speed boost. I still have my Tera Blast on board, and I've done a ton of damage to you. I'm going to go right into Scizor, I think. What was their Intimidate Pokemon? No, they didn't. They had Talonflame as a Pokemon that could spell trouble. I think I will go into the Sneasler with that in mind, just because I want to stop any Brave Birds or something like that. Vengeance, very cool name, and it is the Talonflame. Okay, so that could be going for Brave Bird. If it is Dire Claw... Well, if it's Covert Cloak... Interesting. Yeah, okay. Scizor would have probably been better, it turns out. Yeah, I think I have to hope they're not Covert Cloak or Terra Ghost. I am a little in trouble against that, so Arcanine would have been pretty good there. But yeah, Focus Sash Iron Bundle, definitely not what I was expecting. I was correct in kind of like thinking, okay, I feel like I probably did not. Okay, they did. They probably went for a attacking flying move, and the fake out stopped them from getting the Gale Wings off, which is okay. Yeah, they actually just are not Covert Cloak. So if they'd been Terra Ghost or Covert Cloak, that actually could have gone pretty sideways fast. That is one of the weaknesses of the Terra type, the Stellar Terra type. You don't actually get any defensive benefits from it, unfortunately. I think I'm just gonna go Close Combat. I could actually Dire Claw. I think I'm just gonna Close Combat you and go for a Tera Blast into the Talonflame. They can't outspeed me at this point, and if they do go for a Terra for some reason this turn, we will knock them out. We'll be super effective into them. But no Terra's coming out, and we'll also hit the Ursaluna with the Close Combat, so I think it's pretty cool. Enamarus, I feel like, benefits a little more from more frail teams like this, where I can just like get the speed boost and go crazy turn 1, but I also could have played that turn a couple of different ways. I could have gone Wild Bolt on the first turn, probably knock them out. Okay, yeah, we Close Combat them. They're going to be in range of a knockout from Bullet Punch next turn. Ooh, Play Rough, interesting. Not even a knockout though, so we do just close this out with Dire Claw. Yep. And they forfeit. So we do see evidence. Unfortunately, we don't get to go for the Scary Face into Eerie Impulse combo, but you do see just the power of this lead. There's like nothing really that outspeeds. Like even Regieleki will be outsped. Booster Energy, Iron Bundle, Fluttermane, Regieleki will all be outsped by the Scary Faced up Enamarus, and not a lot of Pokemon love taking that Tera Blast or Dazzling Gleam, so almost guaranteed to get off good damage. The only issue is if your opponent lives and goes for an Ice Beam or another attack to knock you out. That was definitely a weakness in my opponent's game plan based on what I had in the back. If they had knocked out the Well, I guess that's not necessarily true because the Thundurus Wild Bolt Storm also would have fared pretty well against their team outside of the Ursaluna, and the Dire Claw Sneasler would have, or the Close Combat Sneasler would have handled the Ursaluna just fine. So yeah, do feel like we covered their team pretty well with what we had there and just showed off the power of that Contrary plus Thundurus dropping move combo. Opponent has a very strong Tailwind team. They have Tornadus, Landorus, Walking Wake, Iron Hands, Ogerpon, Hearthflame Form, and Fluttermane. This kind of spells out Sunny Day to me. So what are we going to do about that? We don't have Rain Dance, unfortunately. I do think Ogerpon does pretty well against the majority of their team, actually, outside of a couple weak points. I think Arcanine getting an Intimidate off is very, very valuable. Enamarus, I guess, could be cool if I get... It's a little weak to Sludge Bomb on Lando, unfortunately. I don't think I can boost up fast enough to handle it. Like, I'd have to go for a speed boost, and I don't think I knock it out in exchange, unfortunately, which is a little annoying. Yeah, okay. One interesting option I have, though, is Sneasler. Huh. That doesn't work against Fluttermane, though, so I don't think I can do that. I think I like Thundurus, and I think I need Enamarus to beat the Iron Hands, unfortunately. A little bit. It's a little weird. I'm not exactly sure how to approach the Tailwind matchup. I could have seen myself going Sneasler to resist Drain Punches from Iron Hands, deal damage back with Dire Claw, stop Fake Outs with Upper Hand. I don't think that would have been that good, but I think the Iron Hands is definitely going to be a problem for me here. Ogerpon could also be an issue if it's max speed, because my Enamarus, even outside of Tailwind, will not speed it. So they go Torn Walking Wake, which is about what I expect, but unfortunately I don't have a great switch in for Hydro Steam. Yeah, okay. Special attack, booster energy. I do feel pretty forced to go Sword Stance here. You know what's interesting? I feel like they actually can't go for a... Huh, okay. Can I not just go Tera... Booster energy, so they probably live a hit. I think they kind of have to go for Draco here. A little bit. I mean, they don't have to, but I feel like they're really incentivized to. So what I want to go for here is actually Tera, Hornleech, Rock Slide. I think they're very incentivized to not Hydro Steam just because Follow Me is so safe. But I could have also gone for Tera, Water, Follow Me, Rock Slide. That's probably a little safer, but I felt the need to play aggressive here just because Tailwind could be pretty annoying for me. Hornleech is still going to do a lot of damage, though, to their Walking Wake. I'd imagine it to a KO, and they're going right for Tailwind. I feel like Bleak Wind was maybe a little better, but we'll see if they Hydro Steam or not. They do actually go for it, which, I don't know, seemed pretty high risk relative to what I could have done that turn, but it works out for them, so... works for them. We're not actually 2 at KOing them, which is kind of annoying. I'm gonna have to go into this guy. Yeah, that's annoying, no doubt about it. I think I can... Honestly, Sword Stance Protect seems valuable to me. But yeah, that is very bad, just losing that. I could have gone for Extreme Speed, chipped it into range, or Follow Me Rock Slide. Obviously would have been really excellent, but... The Follow Me just felt so obvious. They have the option to go for a Draco for huge damage, and they're going for Sunny Day here, giving themselves no Proto Boost, which is interesting. They go Hydro Steam into Thundurus, makes sense, but I'm just gonna, I think, Eerie Impulse them next turn, which is fine, and go for a Hornleech, basically. Minimize the damage they can output onto me. Right, I shouldn't switch out to the Enamarus, I don't think. Yep, just going to try and lower that offensive potential and go for a... Maybe I should have Ivy Cudgel the Torn, slow down the... Yeah, I think this turn was actually a mistake. I probably should have Ivy Cudgeled the Torn or maybe Hornleeched it to put it in range of a knockout in the next turn while also giving me the opportunity to slowly wither away their Tailwind options. Yeah, they do. A 2-hit KO with the Hydro Steam would have knocked out if I hadn't gone for the Eerie Impulse, but now we get the Citrus back up, and we should knock it out this turn. They do double hit Bleak Wind, do a lot. I think that's a crit onto my Ogerpon, honestly. Yeah. We'll heal a bit back, but that's definitely annoying. We'd probably be at full HP if not for that crit, so that could be detrimental, but I think the special defense boost should be fine for us here. Also have to remember we do not have a Protect. We can't stall out Tailwind that way. We have Follow Me, which is something. There is the Iron Hands. Okay. That's bad. It's very bad, actually. Because they will outspeed me, unfortunately. Enamarus in the back should actually be okay, though, I guess. Wish I could Horn Leech, but obviously can't. Can't do that, so what do we do? I feel like Scary Face onto the Iron Hands is fair enough. Okay. Can you taunt? I guess you can go for Prankster against other Prankster Pokemon. So that's really, really bad, the taunt. They're one of the few Taurons still carrying taunt, and now I can't Eerie Impulse my own. I can't Eerie Impulse my own guy here. So this battle just went completely off the rails pretty much every turn, unfortunately. Now we will still probably get outsped by the Iron Hands. We don't have our Tera available to us, and we did not knock out the Thundurus, so that is a good counter to this strategy. A faster taunt onto Thundurus will pretty much leave you high and dry. So now they can just Tailwind and pretty easily beat me. So I think I led right. I just like should have gone for Follow Me, Rock Slide, and just played it safe. Because if I still have that ability to, like, I would have taken 0 damage that turn from the Hydro Steam. They went for Tailwind. I think if I were them, I probably wouldn't have made the play they did, but it did work out, so can't fault them for it. But I could have made a better coverage play instead of playing so aggressively, which is kind of a poor practice on ladder. I think what I could have done... Oh, that's interesting. They're wall charging the Thundurus, and we do live. If we get a Para here, we could actually be back in it on the Wild Bolt Storm. We do knock out the Thundurus. We do a fair amount to the Iron Hands. We actually outsped it. I feel like an Earth Power will knock them out next turn. I can't imagine that was Assault Vest. Interesting. Who do you have? It's the Landorus. Okay, that's most likely Sludge Bomb though, so... I think we still should just lose unless they're not that. Yeah, I think it shouldn't matter at all. Earth Power will knock them out, but yeah, we can't do anything because of the taunt, and we're kind of up against the edge of the creek despite everything. Yeah, they Sludge Bomb, free knockout. Yeah, like I was saying though, I think the turn 1 was just an example of why you should not play that aggressive on ladder generally in turn 1. You don't know what your opponent has. Even though I think with Scary Face, if I hadn't been taunted on Thundurus, I do think there was a chance of mounting a comeback there, but without knowing all the information on my opponent's team, I should have just taken the free damage essentially with Follow Me, Rock Slide. Even if they go for Draco, that's pretty positive, right? I've essentially already gotten an Eerie Impulse on them, so definitely some... overly aggressive play that gets us punished there. I think in the future I would probably play that lead a lot safer. Just especially knowing they were taunt Thundurus. But if they had gone for Draco or something into my Ogerpon, that would have been pretty positive, but the I guess they probably just didn't want to lower their special attack, which does make sense in the long term of the battle. Like, you can just play that mind game turn 1, and if you win it, okay, whatever. Or if you win it, you're up a Pokemon immediately, and if you lose it, it's like, okay, you didn't really do that much damage with Rock Slide. I mean, yeah, it was just a read that we got wrong, but I think looking at the balance of risk-reward there definitely made a play that probably wasn't so favorable. So it's always important to evaluate those sort of risky plays after the battle, and you're not in the heat of the moment anymore. My opponent here has a Regulation E team, looks like. I guess it could be D, actually. They have Amoonguss, Dragonite, Tornadus, Roaring Moon, Chien-Pao, and Dragapult. So lots of offensive power here outside of the Torn and the Amoonguss, most likely. Got some options. I think Speed Boost on the Enamarus, if they don't lead Chien-Pao, is pretty valuable for me. But Tailwind is definitely of concern. I'm not Safety Goggles Torn, so they can Rage Powder away my attempts as well. That's of concern. I do think actually the Arcanine's a pretty safe lead in spite of all that. I could see... Yeah, they don't have Intimidate on their team. That's super valuable. I might run it back to the Ogerpon lead. I think it's actually pretty solid against Tailwind teams for the most part. But Scizor is also very strong, I think, with U-Turn. I think I might bring Ogerpon, and then the Enamarus is not really calling my name that loudly, but loud enough that I might bring it. I think no taunt on the Thundurus means it's not very good against the Amoonguss. Upper Hand is cool against Extreme Speed Dragonite, and maybe for the content I should have brought that, but yeah, maybe that was better. Yeah, Sneasler probably better just because they could lock into a Dragonite endgame pretty effectively against me, so that is probably a mistake on my behalf, but it is what it is. So they got the Dragonite and the Chien-Pao. We'll see what ability they are on the Dragonite here. Yeah, they are in their focus, fair enough. Arcanine's a pretty solid lead though, I think. Unless they're Fire Punch, we do have a safe enough U-turn here. They can go for Stomping Tantrum. If they do, it's like, okay, whatever. But who could they possibly switch in on the Chien-Pao? Not really anyone. And if I could hard press, but I could hard press just in case they do not Tera. I think they kind of have to though. And I would rather switch out. Okay, they do not Tera, so I probably could have gone for Bullet Punch, Rock Slide for knockout. Aqua Jet. Oh my god, okay. That is tough. Okay, yeah, the Arcanine was pretty much my answer to their Chien-Pao and Dragonite combo, but that does imply they're Choice Banded, so we at least have them locked into that. Alright, interestingly enough, I think this does open me up to get the Enamarus in and go for a Dazzling Gleam plus Follow Me on the Ogerpon. They are at -1 on Chien-Pao. So it's not the end of the world. I don't think I would live on Ice Skull Crash if they were Life Orb, even after Intimidate, and I might not live anyways, so... The only question now is, do I go for a Tera on the Ogerpon, and I think the answer is a resounding no. They're switching out, knowing that, okay, we can preserve Extreme Speed most likely here. And it's looking like Torn is in the back, so we will have the option to Bullet Punch that later in the game, and I feel like Scizor's not bad against their the Incineroar. Not the Incineroar. The Dragonite by any means. We are getting this Dazzling Gleam off. It is a 2-hit KO on both, which is cool. Do we get into a weird spot here if... I feel like they just protect Tailwind, but I don't want to... I feel like they'll protect their Chien-Pao based off how they played the game earlier. So what I want to do is actually Ivy Cudgel switch. Yeah, that feels right to me. I'm not sure. I guess I can always switch. I don't think that's smart. I think I can always switch out the Enamarus. Okay. I can always protect the Enamarus, switch the Scizor into almost anything they have in the back. And if they are a fast Torn and they're going for like a fast Bleak Wind, I don't want to... yeah, they went Sunny Day and not Tailwind, which is fair enough, I guess, but... wasn't really aiming for the Ogerpon angle. But if I'd gone for Ivy Cudgel Protect there, I would have gotten punished. But I think not going for Tailwind is kind of interesting. because then you guaranteed outspeed my Ogerpon. Now they'd have to be max speed to get the extreme speed off before me, which is overall good, I think, for me. Tera Flying, the ranked master. So that makes sense. That's most likely going to be a attack booster. What does that mean for me? I think I'm gonna go Follow Me. I could Tera Blast. I think I will Tera Blast actually into this guy. I think it's so unlikely that I think they kind of have to go for Tera here on the, like, they don't have a knockout into my Ogerpon with the Chien-Pao, so I think defensively they have to Tera, so we're going to go for a Tera Blast of our own. They did go Tera Poison, trying to juke us out with the nickname, almost worked, but we should have a knockout with Tera Blast Stellar because it is super effective. We get the initial boost and we are Life Orb, and then we'll boost up even further, at which point I really do like Scizor in this endgame. They can Sucker Punch me most likely, but that is, you know, just how it is. We might even outspeed them with Tera Blast here. It's just dependent on their EV spread. Usually I would expect it to be a speed boosting. Oh, we actually, okay. Okay, got me. That's unfortunate. That is probably going to close it out. Yep, so that's the main weakness of the Stellar Tera type is you don't gain the defensive Tera type, and yeah, okay. Life Orb, Sunny Day, that makes sense. Okay, so they were max speed, attack booster, instead of a bulkier one, which makes sense. When you're on a Tailwind team, it makes sense to do that sort of thing. I think I'm just going to hard press them, see how much damage we can do. But I think Dragonite in the back should close it out. They have enough damage with Sucker Punch to probably do it to us, and they go for knockoff. So taking away our item and also taking a pretty secure knockout there. So yeah, I think the moral of the story on these last two battles, played the Arcanine pretty aggressively. Wasn't really, and looking at their back Pokemon, Dragonite, Roaring Moon, Chien-Pao, Tornadus, needed to not play it that aggressively. So ultimately get punished pretty bad for that turn one, and even though, yeah, I think if I'd gotten maybe the Scizor in later, I mean, the knockoff was doing a lot, so I don't think I could have really beaten the Roaring Moon that easily. But overall, pretty bad for me. Yeah, just got to be more cognizant of that option. I feel like usually these days the Dragonites are Aerial Ace, Extreme Speed, Stomping Tantrum, Outrage, but Aqua Jet is definitely an option. It's good coverage into Flutter Mane in late games, and as well really strong into Arcanine, which is a strong lead into you. So it makes a lot of sense. I just wasn't preparing for that in my head, and also just like wasn't quite prepared for it to be a one-hit knockout. But that is to be expected. They did have Chien-Pao in the field and Inner Focus, so yeah, makes sense from them. So that will do it for our battles today, featuring this really cool Stella. So that will do it for our battles today, featuring this very cool Stellar Tera and Enamarus with the Tera Blast boosting its contrary, or boosting its special attack and attack with the contrary ability. Definitely saw some really crazy power from this Pokemon. I think overall the play from my end wasn't that crazy. Crazy good. I think I was leaving my Arcanine out in a lot of sore spots and getting punished pretty hard for it. So if you learn anything from this video, I think definitely if you have a team like this, the Arcanine does seem to bear a lot of the load. I'd maybe replace the Scizor on the team. Sneasler's upper hand was pretty cool, definitely in a lot of situations, but I think the Arcanine is really strong, but it just needs to be protected a bit better in terms of play or with building. There were a lot of situations where I was like, okay, I can get a ton of damage off with Arcanine here. I can protect my team really well, just like pave the way for my future Pokemon to win the game, but you have to be very you have to recognize that your Arcanine is a 4x weak to both water and ground types, definitely can get knocked out very quickly, so in a best of 1 format, gotta be on the lookout for cheeky tech moves, and in a best of 3 format, just have to recognize, okay, this Arcanine is one of my main damage sources on this team that doesn't require setup, so I have to basically put it into positions where it can do so without getting answered really quickly and easily by my opponent. So if you want to try the team, the Pokepaste is in the description below, along with the team creator. Kotaru, and the rental code in the description below as well as in the top right of the video. If you enjoy the videos, please subscribe to the channel. With all that being said, peace y'all.